Finally, we've gotten to the end of our series of lectures on meta frameworks for sustainable design, and now we're going to get to see some examples of what I might consider authentically sustainable design buildings, or authentic sustainability. Some of the learning objectives, we're going to review ISD. We're going to show some examples of that. So pretty simple here. Just as a review, we're looking at integral sustainable design here as a unification of the subjective and objective realms. Certainly the individual and collective perspectives are critical, the I, it, we, and its, and we're going to be trying to maximize or engender experience, maximize performance, manifest meaning, and guide flow. And the goal here would be to do all four of these simultaneously. So when I'm designing a building, I'm thinking about all four of these perspectives with every line that I draw on a piece of paper, or every electron that I enter into a computer. So I thought we'd take a look at the Omega Center for Sustainable Living by BNIM Architects, which is a living building challenge rated building. And I'll get into that a little bit and what that means. And so first we're going to start from the performance or the facts-based perspective. And Mark would call this maximize performance, Mark Decay. We're also looking at all the facts. So if I go over, all of these are known facts about the project, right? These are locational drawings that explain, actually this is probably too rendered for my taste, but it was the best drawing I could find to give you a site plan of the project. But when you think about performative design, you think about all kinds of different facts, right? How many solar panels? Does it have an eco machine? How long did it take to build? And here's the psychometric charts. How do we maximize efficiency? And this is in a whole realm within sustainable design that's pretty critical and typically would require working with engineers early in the project. But certainly we can also think of the systems, right? So the systems in this building are really, really carefully considered, because if we're going to hit the high performance marks of net positive, then we're going to have to do really carefully developed systems. And we're really looking a lot at water and how water can be purified on site. We're looking at light and how light is manipulated or not. And all of these systems come together to create a highly performing building that also could be really wonderful to experience, I hope. This is a site, I guess this is a three-dimensional view cut to show all of the systems. I'll just do this. So here we see those same systems again represented in three-dimensional views. So for example, I can see all the different systems over here, like a constructed wetland. So they're actually building swamps in order to pre-purify the water before it comes into the living machine, which is actually a replication of a living system that can clean the water on site. We're also seeing solar back here, so that roof tilt is there is for solar. And you also see woodlands restoration. So they're actually in the landscape feature, actually restoring or regenerating the landscape. So there's a very holistic understanding of the systems and how they might interrelate. Now, further looking at this building, I can think about the experience. How do I visually and sensorily experience the building and the landscape? And so the wetlands, that is cleaning the water, right? So the water is being pre-treated in this wetlands, is also could be a sense of the beauty of the project, right? So the celebration of the systems, the natural systems, are leading to a heightened experience psychologically. And there's the living machine at a very nice time of day. And you can see how that experience might be there. And there's the interiors there. See, so what I get excited about, for example, is there's a clear story here that's letting light in and bouncing it this way. So the desire for daylighting can also be an opportunity to create an experience. So the corridor is designed in a way to accentuate that kind of experience there. And here you see the high ceilings create a sense of space in this particular building. So if we think about the living building challenge, which I haven't taught you yet, but I will, and you think about these are the criteria or the petals, the criteria within the petals that you would need to get a living building challenge building certified, you see that the criteria actually range from beauty and spirit to net zero energy to habitat exchange to appropriate sourcing, which is an ethical dimension. So this building, for example, this project uses the red list, meaning that there are 14 materials that are forbidden to be in the project, and vinyl being one of them. And you could debate the relative merits or ethicalness, the efficacy of using vinyl or not. But the point here is that this is an extremely holistic set of criteria that one could use to approach a integral sustainably designed building. I think it's pretty exciting. I think I have one more example for you. This is the Bullitt Center in Seattle, Washington by Miller Hall Architects. This is in the middle of being reviewed for Living Building Challenge as this is being set up right now. Some of the facts of this are the performance strategy for getting to net zero, actually. So one last example of integral sustainable design can be found with the Bullitt Center in Seattle, Washington. It was designed by Miller Hull Architects, and it's quite a great example of integral sustainable design. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this, and we're going to start with understanding the performative aspects of the project, and we're going to link them up with the system. So we're actually going to kill two quadrants with one stone here. So from a performative point of view, 72 EUI, which is the energy use intensity, that is kBTUs per square foot. So it's a relative measure of the building's energy performance that can be compared to other buildings. In this case, 72 EUI will meet code and get them through the local standards. We're going to try to get to net zero and net positive, so we're going to have to use some systems in order to get our EUI down. And first we're going to start with heating and cooling systems, and just through that, we're going to be able to take 30 EUI off the equation. That's pretty good. So already we're almost half the energy of normal. Then we're going to look at our lighting systems, and we're going to design both passive day lighting and active lighting to help us cut another 10 off of the EUI. We're getting down to a super efficient building here. Then we're going to do a cultural thing where really that's not a system, that is a system, it's a policy, it's a cultural expression. We're going to train the people in the building and the maintenance people to operate the building in a way that's going to get it down into 16 EUI. And then finally we're going to use the system of PV to balance or offset the remaining bit of energy needed. So the solar array now, because we went through all these other strategies, is much smaller than it would normally have to be. Therefore leading to a very high performative net neutral or net positive building. And so here's some of the way this plays out and how energy is used. This is benchmarking. Here's an average building at 72 EUI. Here's a Seattle Energy Code building at 64. And if you keep going down, LEED Platinum, PV budget, and then a proposed building. So you can see that from a benchmarking point of view, which is something we do in sustainable design quite often, we can see that this is a super efficient building. And the systems then, you could have a whole day just on the systems of this building and the engineering that goes into that. And so for designers, engineers, I consider them to be designers. I consider anybody involved in the creation and development of this building to be a designer. And here you see all the systems laid out and broken apart into a taxonomy. I'm not going to get into all of them, but one of the things I think was really interesting is right here you see the irresistible stair. The concept was to make such a beautiful stair that people would avoid using the elevator on a daily basis to reduce energy. That's a look at the interiors and what it looks like for light coming in. So that's some of the experience of the building. And there's some of the experience of the building from the streetscape. Notice the pictures taken through the trolley lines, which detracts a little bit. But what I'm interested in, from an experience point of view, is this huge overhang of roof. And if you've been paying attention to the lecture, you would know that that roof is overhanging to accommodate the PV panels that are needed to get to net zero. What they did that I thought was very clever, they cut little holes in here to let light and air let light through, or to let view to the sky view through. So there's an example of a virtuous cycle or a building/project that is maximizing all four quadrants simultaneously. It's pretty amazing. And the proportions of the building, these very high, look at the daylighting. The daylighting there is amazing, but also from a proportional standpoint, it has a verticality that is then topped off by this horizontality. So from an aesthetic point of view, it has a lot going for it. So that ends our module on integral theory, integral sustainable design, meta frameworks. And next week, we're going to be looking at perspectives on energy. And I guarantee you, we will get moving more and more away from theory and more into the things that you might be able to apply on a daily basis in a legitimate way. I hope you enjoyed this set of lectures, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the